$3.7 billion the president is requesting include. Mark Krikorian with the Center for Immigration Studies joins me now with a closer look. Mark, before we get into the details on that, let me ask you this. What would prompt families in Central America to scrape up what may be their life savings to send their children on a dangerous journey for hundreds and hundreds of miles in hopes that they could get into the U.S.?
There's two things. First of all, they have to want to leave. And clearly, it's a poor and disorderly place. I mean, most of the world is. But what's important is the last thing that you mentioned, in the hopes of actually succeeding. And that is this president's 5-year track record of basically not enforcing immigration laws. In a whole variety of areas has sent word back that if you want to get in now. They're letting people go. Even if you flag down the Border Patrol, they'll take you into custody, give you a hot meal, give your kids shots if they need them, and then they deliver you free of charge to your relatives.
Yeah, I mean, some of these people are turning themselves into the Border Patrol.
They're flagging them down. I mean, I sent a team down a couple weeks ago to South Texas, and, there are people, they're going across on jet skis or rafts or whatever it is, depending on what the situation is, and then they're wandering around looking for Border Patrol agents to surrender themselves to.
Now, let's look at the trend here. Children have been coming for years, but in much smaller numbers. If you look in 2011, you had a little over 15,000, almost 16,000 kids who came across. In 2012, these are fiscal years, 24,400 came over. In fiscal year 2013, 38,759. And in fiscal year 2014, so far, and we're not even to the end of the year yet, we've got 52,193. Now, why the sudden surge? Are conditions that much worse in Central America, or have the recent policies of the administration, as you suggested, held out the promise that if you get here, you're good?
No, it's clearly the administration's policies. I mean, like I said, things are lousy in Central America. They were lousy before, they're lousy now, and they're probably going to be lousy next year, too. My people went down and they talked to illegal immigrants at the bus station. The Border Patrol just lets them go into the bus station. And they said, why'd you come? He said, well, things are lousy in our country, and we heard from our relatives that they'll just give us a piece of paper if they catch us and then just let us go. And that's what they're doing, and they're calling those papers, which are really summonses to appear in immigration court, they're calling them permits, permisos, to just be in the United States. And so they're calling home when they get to L.A. or Houston or wherever, and they're saying, hey, fellas, it's true. It's not a lie. It's not just a rumor. They let us go with a piece of paper. Come on, while the getting is good, because they can't keep this up forever. They've got to change their mind at some point.
Right. Now, how long does the process take once you get here?
It could take years. It depends on what the story is. But if say, an illegal immigrant young person comes in, is smuggled in, even if he has family here, if he has, some of these activist groups say, okay, well, we'll have you apply for political asylum.
Yeah.
It could drag out for years.
Now, let me ask you about a breakdown in the numbers. You've looked at the $3.7 billion. You say about half of that is just for resettlement, not to increase border enforcement, but to resettle these people.
Right. It's about half of the money, $3.7 billion. About half of that goes to the Department of Health and Human Services to literally resettle illegal immigrants in the United States. That's not enforcement in any way. And in fact, even a significant share of the enforcement money is really just money going to the immigration authorities to help bus people around for Health and Human Services, to resettle them. So very little of this is actually for enforcement.
Now, just a few seconds left. What can happen now between the Congress and the President? Is there any chance that they can agree on something to make this better?
I think, well, maybe. I mean, the President ultimately has to be the one to decide. But what Congress might be able to insist on is some strings onto this money. That if we're going to give you this money, you have to include these pro-enforcement elements. I don't know if they'll do it, but they at least can do that.
Okay. Mark Krikorian, thank you very much.
Thank you.